Top morning, ladies. My name is Chaz, and welcome to a Jurassic, or not, heart, the What If, series. This is the What If Deku becomes Toxin, Toxon. Mm. So in my last video that I did, the What If Deku became Elementor, the where Bakugo pushed Zuko into a pool of like or ultra links. But in this what if, Zuko got pushed into a tub of radioactive materials that are liquefied. Basically, Lang, how will I put this? It is like how this man became Toxin by just like running in. Yeah. But before I get too ahead of myself, so I'm also throwing in his sister and his girlfriend for this what if is Himiko Toga. So in this what if, she's, instead of all like crazy like we all know and love, she's more like calm, like kept herself contained kind. Basically like that. But she still, of course, she is, in this what if, she loves Zuko so much. So, yeah, then Zuko got pushed into the chemical, and his body, he starts to transform into the into this. As they flushed the chemical down, they thought he was dead. But turns out he wasn't. He still lives. And this is what it is. His. So, yeah. So, and he was walking in the sewers. And he tells them, or he tells himself that actually, he did have a quirk in this what if, compared to or actually, no, he didn't have a quirk. So he's quirkless. But he survived somehow. As he walks angrily, and yeah, as he is mad at Bakugo for pushing him into that chemical bath. As a certain man hovers over the sewer, or hovers inside of the sewer, but above the liquid. A man in black suit, yes. Oh, I'm not leaving him out of this one either. So he tells him that you want your revenge on a certain person, don't you? Who are you? As Toxin Zuko says. Oh, I'm just a man. Sorry about that. So, yeah. Who are you? So, the All for One says, I am All for One. And you are her. Well, you're a symbol of evil, I could tell. But you're... I know that. But my name is Shizuku Midoriya. But now you could call me Toxin. I like that name. As All for One agrees with that name. And in this What If, I'm giving him way more power than his, two different things, him and him. So, he could absorb any material. If it was liquid, like oil, fire, wind, anything like that, he could become it. So All for One offered him a place in the League of Villains. As All for One gave him a choice of be with the League of Villains and cause much mayhem, or be down here as a sewer rat. As his blades comes out, as he says, I am not a rat. I just want revenge on Bakugo, one of the students of... That's all I want. If I have to become a villain myself, I will do it. Okay. We have both agreed. And All for One agrees with Zuko, or Toxin Zuko, as he basically became more so days go past. Bakugo was in trouble. Not very long. But, of course, he ends up going to UA. And in this What If, Bakugo loves Zumi. A couple times that he wanted to ask her on a date. Or actually, let's say he did. And yeah. So then Toga, she still has a heart for Zuko. Because she knows that it was Bakugo that did that. So she's blaming him for Zuko's death still. And yeah. Bakugo like plays it off. So Toga and Zumi and Bakugo went to UA. And got into class 1A. And I'm not gonna go over the internship of the getting into UA because it's Zuko's not there, but Zumi got one for all. So yeah, and she saved Ochako because she has a because Ochako is her friend, so she respects her as a friend. So yeah. Of course, I'm skipping the ball throw, the heroes versus villains. Of course, I forgot to mention, Toga was in class 1A. Yeah. Weird, yes. But that's... Okay. So then, Zuko... So then, all that time, Toxin could believe that he needs to make Bakugo pay for what he did. As he says, or as hand over his face says, he's so... Ugh. As as Zuko Toxin grabs his throat and says, I could have been in the hero or that USJ or UOA as a normal kid, but no, it was because of that simple mistake of Bakugo did that, and now look at me. As All for One takes his arm down as he says, "Easy now, Toxin. You'll get your revenge soon." As he takes a deep breath, as he walks away. And yeah. Plus, he doesn't now never age at all. So he as Bakugo was. So now it's is time for USJ. As a hand race after like doing like the after he had a talk, of course he got his aka he has his like toxin's arm or hand around his throat kind of talk. As through all this time he created or new creatures, the entire army full of his goons as he the green stuff that is underneath that one that absorbed into his body has become that when he let go. And so he, as Shraki-sen tells him that if you're interested in causing some chaos, there could be a Bakugo with them. That's interesting. As he comes with, give me a moment to find the picture. So yeah, and where Zuko's at in this picture is Zumi. So yeah. So then Tenya, let's say Tenya was there. He knows that Bakugo pushed Zuko into it. But so when they got to there, the portal opens, and a, like that same animation, and a portal opens up. As the villains comes out. One by one, two by two. Yeah, it was a pretty big group. But who was in it? It was Toxin, too. So, yeah, and he sees Bakugo out of hatred for him. As his memories, as he looks, as he knows that it was Bakugo. As Tenya knew that aura from Toxin. It was the same aura that was the same thing as Zuko's. As he thinks it's impossible for anything without a quirk could survive. As Shiraki-sen does his little like monologue of we're here to kill All Might and you students. And then as Toxin looks at him. As he knows that he rolls his eyes. Or Toxin rolls his eyes as he knows that as he says, I'm adding this to him for one of your students, or student named Kosuke Bakugo. I have a little friend here that holds a grudge against you. Say hi, Toxin. Where is it? Where is that image? Where is that? As they're like, both of them, or everybody's was like, okay, as they turn their heads, asking Bakugo, do you know this guy? As Bakugo says, no, I haven't seen him before. As Toxin gets very angry as he runs up. Or actually, so then they do the whole portaling around. As he knows where Bakugo will be. As he claps his hands together. As he tells him that you forgot about me, didn't you? You left me for dead. As he grabs Bakugo by the throat, as he says that the only reason why I'm still living is because of my sure willpower. You took everything, but I'm gonna repay you back for her things that you did. As Redhead tries to punch the Toxin, Toxin turns around as he tells Redhead that it's only business between me and him, so stay out of it. As Redhead is terrified. Yeah, that's what he looked like. As Redhead, instead of battling, what did he ever do to you to deserve this? He pushed me into the chemical bath. Do you remember that, Bakugo? Or as he tells, he didn't take his eyes off of Bakugo's, as he tells him that maybe this will refresh your memories. if I say his name, you probably will remember. Zuko Midoriya. As Bakugo's eyes start to widen, as he couldn't believe his own friend and that he picked on were being quirkless and called him Deku after all these years. Has returned from the grave. Yeah. Zuko was basically not in a happy camper, so he basically as Bakugo says, "Why did you join the villains?" I had a choice. First choice was to join the villains to take care of you or the and or number two, be a sewer rat for the rest of my life. I did not want that to be my second option, so I chose the first one. I wanted to become a hero like All Might, but you took that away from me. Now I'm mad. You took everything away from me. Yeah. So, and Redhead runs up, grabs his arm, as he tells him that you can, and stop this, as Zuko looks at him, says, I said it's business between him and I. As he tossed Redhead across the room, destroying the high-end villains. As he turns around, as Bakugo releases the explosion onto Zuko, letting him go home. As Bakugo says, I don't know what's got into you, Zuko, but please stop. As he says, I can never stop. Because the only priority is, or my priority is to get my revenge on you. So then he got a phone call from Shiraki-san as he says, we'll meet again, and in a neat ear. Sure. As he jumps out a window, lands at, or he actually, or instead of like him falling, where's that picture of him flying? It was the one that him. Did I not save it? I think I did not. Or here it is. It's the one. So he flew all the way to. as Shiraki-san says that took you long enough. Well, I had business, remember? You do your thing, I do mine. Yep. As you're sometimes annoying. Huh. As he smiles, thinking about that. Yeah. So then Zuko tells him that yeah. So then Bakugo, could not believe that his friend is still alive after all these years. And now he became a villain? Oh,